Hey folks, man, this is Monk, and we are back with another episode of Classics of Cinematics. I'm joined as always with my co-host. We got Bobby Blockbuster.
Yo, 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 yo.
And we got a very enthusiastic yo.
Yeah,
but
we did.
We got another heavy hitter on this episode today. So we're going to be talking about Akira, which originally came out in 1988. I believe it was put out on video in the United States in 1990. And the story goes as this. In 1988, the Japanese government drops an atomic bomb on Tokyo after extrasensory perception experiments on children go awry. In 2019, 31 years after the nuking of the city, Kaneda, a bike gang leader, tries to save his friend Tetsuo from a secret government project. He battles anti-government activists, greedy politicians, irresponsible scientists, and a powerful military leader until Tetsuo's supernatural powers suddenly manifest. A final battle is fought in Tokyo, exposing the experiment's secrets. Yeah. And this is an interesting film. There's a cast here, so I'm going to speak about my favorite version of this, which is the original English dub version that came out. And for our cast people, we've got Barbara Goodson, Bob Bergen, Cam Clark, who plays Kaneda. And if your ears are good, you will recognize that he did the voice of Leonardo from the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles TV series.
Man, that's dope.
Yeah,
that's dope as shit. Yeah.
And we got Jan Rabson, who also does Tetsuo. These two are our main characters. Larry Cody, Felice Sampler, Steve Kramer, and Tony Pope. And if you look up these people, they've done a lot of animated TV programming in the U.S.
Right.
But this thing is directed by Katsuhiro Otomo, and I believe he wrote the original story. So this is adapted from a manga that was actually ongoing when this film was made. So it's one of those interesting things, sort of like Game of Thrones, where this film was completed before that manga series was done being written and published. So they kind of stripped down the story and put something together.
Yeah, like we were just talking about, when I was looking into it as well, they said pretty much if you take the first half of volume 1 and the last half of volume 7, that's what you get in this movie. But then with the books, they go, way deeper into character development and things like that in the meat of that sandwich.
So just another thing for the story, just so people know, and spoilers, whatever. But basically what happens is our character, Tetsuo, has an encounter with another, powerful being. And for some reason that manifests his own powers, and then he starts having these abilities start to develop. And it gets to the point where he can't control him anymore. And it sort of drives him mad. And that's kind of, where the story goes. It kind of reminds me of that Chronicle movie that came out a few years back. And they definitely lifted a lot from this film, but that's the gist of the story here, man. So let's get into what we like about this thing, man.
I mean, first things first, I'm gonna speak in the mind of a chef. You see your food before you taste it. Yes. So the visuals of this film, the look, it's mesmerizing, dude. And then the way this animation was done, the attention to detail, not just in the fluid movement of the characters, but the background setting. I mean, they took so much time, energy, and effort into creating this animated film. That's why it is a standalone. It is a groundbreaking, tone-setting animation film like no other, especially came out in 88. They weren't drawing like this.
They definitely got a big budget to adapt this, man. I think that's why the money came at it, because the manga was a big success there. But if you look at this, man, at the time, this was a time when I was started getting stuff from Blockbuster, and written stuff, arrows and all that. The manga sections were little, so I would get stuff, and at the time it looked really cool because we're seeing designs, things were designed on a way I hadn't seen them done before. But when you look at those early films compared to this, they're cheating a lot. There's a lot of still movements or a lot of where they're using the camera to pan around versus really animating these characters. And whereas this is closer to what we were getting from like Warner's Brothers, Looney Tunes stuff, where very fluid, very, as much as possible. Still not quite, but still way more superior than what was coming out in other manga animation stuff at the time.
The thing about manga is that, manga was actually brought to life due to the success of this film. Manga was the major distributor in the U.S. and Western
the company
part
manga?
of the world.
Yeah,
Company manga. They are the major distributors of anime in the Western part of the world. So manga was built solely off the success of Akira. You know what I mean? So that when you talk about piggybacking, you know what I mean?
I think manga would come out later and get like Ninja Scroll and things like that.
Right after this, manga then dropped Ghost in the Shell, and then Ninja Scroll, and then I mean even you take it a step further, you get your Dragon Ball Z and all the stuff that follows from that.
Yeah. But this definitely elevated what was achievable in the just with anime at the time, man. It definitely boosted up the level a whole lot, man.
And like you said, I mean, you could see in the budget. I mean, they said that this film consists of 2,212 shots, 160,000 single pictures, and that's 2 to 3 times more than the average anime, using 327 different colors with 50 colors made exclusively for this film. And that's where, you can see it all the way throughout. Like, I love the bike chase scene, what they're doing with the trails on the brake lights and everything. And I mean, and then not for nothing, you get the world famous bike slide. Seeing how that this was the initial film that started that, and then you see it in various other films. Yeah,
there's probably like 50 examples of that. I saw like a supercut of all these animated things that use that slide in them. Just paying homage to Akira. Even recently in Nope. We see.
I want to say, I mean, I don't know if they hit it all the way in T2, but I know that it was a lot of animated films that hit that slide. But as far as this color palette, you really see it once it gets to like we get in the third phase of the film when Tetsuo is really evolving and manifesting into what he becomes. I mean, these color tones and all of this detail. I mean, even when he gets the metal arm, like they make it even look like stuff. Tendons and everything.
Yeah, the tendrils.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and this thing has a really good look, like because there's kind of two components. You've got your backgrounds, which are usually painted, and these backgrounds are really well done.
Yes,
that these characters are animated in front of, give you a great sense of space and scale, especially when they're traveling through the older parts of the city.
Yes,
because essentially, I said in the story in '88, that's when Akira first came to being, and he kind of had the same thing that's going on with Tetsuo, where he couldn't control his power, and eventually there was a big explosion, which pretty much destroyed the city, and according, I guess maybe the world freaked out and it set off World War III. So I'm kind of curious. We never see that what the rest of the world looks like, but essentially they rebuild Tokyo around this stuff.
Yeah, so it's like Neo Tokyo.
Yeah. So this is called Neo Tokyo, but it looks really good, man. Kind of has a Blade Runner-esque feel at times,
a little Mad Maxy at times as well. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that was the next thing I was going to talk about. Is the look of the mass destruction. We get a lot of scenes of mass destruction, and that kind of is like the underlying theme of this movie throughout. Is not just the destruction, but how the masses are surviving in the aftermath. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that was just really, really, really cool. And then, it brings to light, our two main characters. Like you said, we get Kaneda, we get Tetsuo, and they are both pretty much, I mean, in this Neo Tokyo, like youth children or young teenagers,
I think they're about 15. They're supposed to be, but they seem a little older. They seem more like 17. Well, just some of the stuff they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they ride the shit out them bikes. I don't got no 13-year-old whipping and zipping like that. But the thing is, it's like that, all of these youngins, they're in this world where they're forced to thrive but expected to fail. You know what I'm saying? They have no parental guidance, no authoritarian figures, nobody's supporting them. So what do they do when in doubt? You know what I'm saying? You get your team together, you create your own element where they were the capsules.
Yeah, they're definitely juvenile delinquents, because they do go to a school, but it's like the last resort. It's like a Hinckley.
They went to the school and just got chopped up. Discipline.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So it's like something they got to do. It's like the last ditch effort.
Yes.
Either this, or if you don't go here, you're going to jail. So
yes, exactly. And they were like, man, bump that. But then as we really get into the meat and potatoes of this film, it's really cool, because they force us to have an emotional attachment with both of the mains in Kaneda and Tetsuo, but then we watch them just completely, go on opposite sides of the spectrum, where you get Tetsuo, who is like, as his power is evolving, his anger is growing as well. He's really frustrated, you know.
So I guess that's probably going to get into the story beats of this, man. Because I mean, essentially, when we get to Tetsuo, who's going to kind of, it's not like he's he's essentially becomes the bad guy in this movie, but it's not like a malevolent bad guy. Like it just happens. It just happens because he's been a bullied kid, man. Yes. And it's interesting. Like I like how they play with that because essentially once you get the power and to not be able to bully no more, sometimes people take that to a crazier degree. It's like, oh, now I can give back what I've been taking my whole life.
All that fire in your belly. And you can see right after the crash, his attitude, his demeanor just continues to change for the worse, for the worse.
Yeah, and he gets crazier because there's also 3 other characters in here I want to point out. It's like Kyuko, and I can't remember. Yeah, they don't got their
Kaori. Kaori was Tetsuo's girl.
Well, I'm talking about the other beings. So Kyoko, we got Takashi and Masuri. So they're like Tetsuo in a way, but they've been being sheltered in this government program. So, and it also seems like somehow their powers have been contained and controlled, and they've learned to control them, but it's also changed their physical makeup. You know?
Yes, they're kind of very old.
Yeah, they're old, but they're also stuck in a childlike physical, you know, so it's interesting. So, but it shows that they have control over their abilities, you know. Yes. With Tetsuo, it's like he just got this, and he got this at a time where you probably should have got it when they were younger. So you learn how to control it. Yes. But now he's just wild. He's reacting off of a lot of emotion, and he doesn't really have a control over these powers, and they're constantly also growing in him. So it's getting even more tougher for him to control.
And it's not just the control. Like the little ones, there's a point where they say we don't give these powers to the bigs because not just of the control, but of the abuse of the power. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
What are you gonna do?
Exactly. And to your point, you know, like I said, we get this world element of the story, this world building and what the survival mode. But then, like you said, there's this scientific element where these scientists, they almost like they recruit these young children, and then they conduct these studies that are related to parapsychology, which is pretty much it's the field of study that focuses on the investigation of paranormal and psychic phenomenons, which is like telepathy, precognition, clairvoyance, psychokinesis.
The kids are like kind of like Jean Greys and Professor X's, you know?
Yes, because you see each one of these 3 kids, they have different abilities. Like the one little one, she sees the future almost in her dreams. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This film is very layered, man. And like I've seen a lot of people saying they didn't get it or they didn't think it was all that. And I'm thinking maybe you probably saw it at a time in your life where you didn't really understand a whole lot about the world. But there's a lot crammed in here because not only do we have the thing going on with these experiments, we've also got commentary on just government and bureaucracy, military, and even the scientists, to a point where the scientists are so fascinated just by the data and all this stuff that's coming in that they're not even concerned about like we see a scientist just die because he can't stop looking at his screen, looking at the readouts of the data when all he could have had to do was just go into the tunnel and he'd have been all right. But he's so fixated just looking at this experiment like in a bubble in a way, like so involved in his work that he's not thinking of the bigger implications or the impact, you know, the rest of the world. And then, but there's some really cool stuff weaved into this, man.
There is. And then, like you said, also with this political element and with, like, I guess they would be the authority, the police and stuff. It's like they put a certain level, a certain group of individuals under the heel and just keep pressing. There is no way to elevate in this cruel world that they're forced to live in now.
Yeah, you got that going on, and the fact that they're covering up the whole Akira thing in the first place, you know. So then to the point where you've got this other kind of, I don't know, man. It's reminding me. There's a lot of parallels of some of the stuff that's going on today. You got this cult-like following to Akira, and these people. It's almost like some QAnon kind of stuff. Where I mean, even though they are kind of right in this case, that you know, the government is hiding stuff and covering up things because basically they bury the whole Akira thing. They wipe it from the public record and everything. But the people that lived through it and survived through that first explosion, they're there. And and like you said, they've been living in a lower tier in society. So they're
embracing the second coming. They want it. They want it. They're like, you know, it's almost like they're looking at it like it's a revolution. It's a way for them as a people to level up and then be on an equal playing field, which, you know, I mean, it's understandable in a sense, but you know, it's like playing with fire, and you don't, you don't know how far it's gonna spread, because the only ones that really know are these scientists. And like you said, they got that shit wrapped tight in a very small bubble. It's not for the world to understand. And then
even in the beginning, when we see that initial crash with the motorcycles, and when Tetsuo runs into that kid in the first place, and all of a sudden these helicopters and military stuff comes around just to clean everything up. It's like, all right, we're gonna get this. Come back, kid.
Yeah,
because basically one of the three psychic kids escapes.
Yeah,
and they go and get him and bring him back, and they just, it's like a cleanup crew.
Yes, and that's how you know something's wrong with this, because there are people that were within those walls, the confines of those walls, that know that this is wrong, and they're like, you know what, let's get you out of here, even if it's just one. You know what I mean? And like you said, yeah, man, they keep it all tight knit. You know what I mean? And and there is no survival in this. If you figure something out, you will get eradicated.
And also, outside of the cult-like following, there's also a group of freedom fighters, so to speak, who are actually actively going in. And I think that's how the film starts off. They don't fully explain that, but I think they actually got the kid out of there. They kidnapped the first psychic kid.
Yes.
But it's interesting because that kid had the ability to just, but somehow it seemed like he wanted to go. Maybe he just wanted a glimpse of what it's like outside. And for
it's almost like that princess syndrome, like you know, like Princess Jasmine in Aladdin. She never got to go beyond the walls. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So maybe that was what was going on there. That was ended up deadly, man. So I guess we could get into that, man.
And then,
with the
like I was saying, all of this deep stuff. Like I said, they didn't write this with a pen. They wrote it with a shovel, dog, because it's deep. You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of stuff here, man.
It's all gelled together with this really, really cool soundtrack. I mean, it's like you got the Japan traditional like instrumentals mixed with this like 80s future synth going on. I mean, this is the pulse, the heartbeat of this film, because every time something intense is happening, they start going.
Like, the music is crazy, man. Like that one sequence where Tetsuo's in the hospital and he wakes up, and then the blum, 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 like even the little monsters coming to life. I do want to point out though that Kanye West kind of stole that sequence. The escape scene. That's in his video for the movie Stronger. Like there's even a scene where he's on that bike, flying through the hallways, and he's got the bandage on his head, and the guards try to get him, and he's just walking.
Oh wow!
Like, if you watch that video, man, that's
because I saw Akira. One of the animated ones. The bear looks similar.
Yeah, that bear is kind of. I don't know if he got that, but that bear reminds me of that doctor's office bear. Remember that bear they'd always have in a doctor's office, but they never gave it to you.
Kind of hanging. It's like he looked like he needs surgery, but he's being neglected.
I remember a bear from the '80s, and like they never gave me a bear.
I never got no bear.
Maybe my doctors weren't ball enough, but the bear would be in there, but they would never give it to you.
I remember only thing I never got nothing from the doc. You know what I'm saying? But I did have a dentist, and he had like a treasure box, and it was full of like 25-cent items, little plastic bat rings or whatever the case. It was never cool like a stuffed animal.
But the music is crazy, man. Even toward the end, that theme that comes up when they're doing the flashbacks. There's a Denny Brown song called Fields, and he samples that, and there was I didn't pick that up for years. I'm listening to this song for years, and one day I'm like, hold up, man, why do I keep coming back to the song? And then I realized that that's the Akira theme. I had to look it up, and for sure, but the music is great.
I mean, talk about setting the tone. We get that awesome ass song right at the beginning, and the whole bike chase with the gang.
When the big bikers on the bike, and it's like,
my man was riding with no hands, dog. That's when you know you chilling, and you about that life, because he just cruising. He was the coolest clown I've ever seen.
Yeah, the music, the sound does a great job here, man. But I guess I want to get into just the action in general in this movie, man. The biker scene. First of all, just amazing, man. Like, and Kaneda, Tetsuo's little crew, they have beef with this gang called the Clowns, and that's just a crazy highway chase. The trails, and it's kind of brutal, man. It sets this thing up, man.
You're being nice.
Man, they're hitting dude. This one dude got hit with that wrench thing
with a
pipe in the face. I'm like,
going at motorcycle speed. What's what?
This thing is very violent, very graphic. But the action, when it ramps up those moments, it gets great, man. Even when Kaneda and Kai are escaping, they're in that sewer part, man. Like this thing is. It's crazy,
well,
man.
And it's so oversaturated with the violence that we have known to love and expect from animated films. I mean, you look at the ones that follow with Ghost in the Shell or Ninja Scroll, ultra violent, but also highly received, and we anticipate this now. We expect to see. I mean, there was.
I think this one has a different impact because the violence in this wasn't as cartoonish, even though it is animated.
It's very real,
but it wasn't coming from like a fist of the North Star. But it's just ridiculous.
No, it's not Goku charging up and shooting an energy ball.
You feel the impact of this, man. Like
like I said, a lot of gunshots, gun wounds. You see entry wounds, and it's not like over splatter.
That scene when we see the kid who's been taken and he's surrounded by the police, and the guy that has him, he's like, get out of here, kid. And he almost like he knows he's gonna die, and he just lifts his gun up, and dude, the cops
overkill.
It looks like RoboCop in that scene in RoboCop when the Ed 209 malfunctioned.
Yeah, exactly, dude. They blew his whole torso into spaghetti.
Yeah, my man was doing a dance with the bullets.
What?
But not only, I mean, the violence it works in here, but just the cool sequences, man. Because I also like later on the fight between Kaneda and Tetsuo at the Olympic Stadium, man. And that was so cool. It's just crazy because even like Tetsuo, it's weird because that fight is so weird. They look like they're going in for each other's heads. But at the same time, it's like Kaneda's like, I love you, man. You're my boy.
It's like watching two brothers fight.
You know, that's what it feels like because Tetsuo finally he's the runner of the whole crew. Everyone gives him shit, even though he's part of the gang, but he's getting dumped on.
Whereas Kaneda's the leader.
Yeah. So, but then it's like Tetsuo standing up to him and saying, "Yo, look at me now." Yeah. And it's a crazy fight, man. My man ends up in. At the same time, the army's trying to get them. I love the technology in this. So they hit him with the space cannon laser. My man goes to space.
Dude, it was so cool because that also it brings us to this like realistic element because soon when he crosses the threshold and goes out into space, there's no way for sound to travel. It goes ultimately silent. This movie that is so full of these beautiful sounds and all this dialogue and all this cool shit just goes completely silent, and then you're just locked in, just watching.
And it's also you're showing his power levels. Yes. All of this stuff is showing off his power. Things are breaking, like cracks in the street, buildings are folding, sound waves. I mean, like it's
and dude, his hair just continues to he's so powerful. He's growing his own hair. The more powerful he gets.
I just noticed that, like his hair is getting bigger.
I need them powers, bro.
To the point where that shit starts coming down his back a little bit. Wow, like maybe he was like the first Super Saiyan kind of shit.
Exactly.
Going on.
But you know what? Then on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, you have Kaneda, who is like, whereas Tetsuo is a super villain. With superpowers, Kaneda is just a hero, and he's the only one that has the balls to take Tetsuo out because he's like, man, I see what you are now, but I knew what you were before. You know what I'm saying? You can have all them powers, but I still see the chump in you, and I'm gonna pull it back out.
It's kind of weird because, but that's the thing. I think that's just a clue that we're also lucky that Tetsuo really doesn't have a super grasp on his power. He's lashing out on an emotional level. Whereas think about if one of those little folks had the same power level, they could do it now, man. They could snap a finger and toss Kaneda away if they wanted to. But Tetsuo, he doesn't have that much of a control, so it's all emotional response. Like he's not as fine tuned with his business. He's throwing like energy waves at these guys.
I'm a piggyback on your point, and that's why we get what happens to Tetsuo in the stadium, where he just starts to evolve into this big blob, goopy looking. And it's wild because it's almost like it looks like it's like water flowing at points, but then it does reshape and form into like a big ass baby for a second, where I think that is a testament of Tetsuo's mind state. You see what I'm saying? Because he's still so childlike, but then it just continues to like grow and like suck people in. But
he loses himself in the power. I think that's also
he couldn't control it.
He loses his form. And it's just raw power.
Because when the scientist, when he looks at that thing, there's like this energy ring, and that was supposed to be Akira's energy ring, and Tetsuo was a very smaller ring at that point. But then you see the rings become one at that point, and he's like, "Holy shit!" he's maxing out right now.
It's just like he's just like Akira, but he's going above Akira, man.
Yes,
like
exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know, man. Like you can look at this film a lot and interpret it so many different ways, but for me, it seemed like ultimately the gang teamed up in a way to basically pull Tetsuo out of this real world and put him in a place where he could be safe, where Akira probably went to just to get out. Like, and it sucks because you still have to have that explosion to get him out here, but potentially, from what I gathered, that thing had the potential to consume the whole world. So we had to sacrifice this chunk of Japan to get him out of here, but that's the best option we got.
And it was really cool because the reason why they did that was because once, like, Curry got sucked up into Tetsuo and she died, and you hear him, like, because then his
girlfriend,
Kaneda then gets sucked in as well, and he's like, Kaneda, help me, I'm killing Curie, I can feel her pain. And Akira was like, I'm sorry, not Akira, Kaneda was like, you know what, bump this, I'm gonna try and still stop you, fearless, with nothing but heart and balls.
I say myself with that cannon off.
But then the three little ones, they were like, yo, if he's doing this just balls to the wall, we're the only ones that can help him. We know that we're going to not make it through this on the other end, but we're the only ones powerful enough
sacrifice
to
going on
stop.
in this, man. I love that because as powerful as those kids were, that just shows how much juice Tetsuo had, man. But just imagine if he could control that, man. How helpful he could be. But then, he's just maybe what this film is also grasping at is that kind of power ultimately is uncontrollable.
It is, exactly. And it's really cool because I needed to know what Akira meant, and they said in Japanese it stands for bright, intelligent, clear. You know what I'm saying? Where when we do get exposed to Akira, he's just he's one of the most powerful beings, but he's just so mild with it. And Tetsuo, he's still evolving and elevating into what he's becoming. But then once he reaches that higher plane, like you see at the end of the film, he's like, I am Tetsuo. You know what I mean? And it's he's reached the pinnacle. He's at the top of the pyramid. You know what I mean?
He's like an Akira type figure, man.
Yes. Which those type of figures, they don't have no shape. It's just energy. It's energy that's traveling throughout the universe type shit. You know what I mean?
This is crazy, man. There's levels to this thing, man. But, one last thing I want to mention, though, is I spoke about the original English dub earlier, which is my preferred way to watch that, and just because of the voice talent and the voice cast. It's also crazy because I'm watching this with the subtitles don't match the dialogue. I think the subtitles are from the original Japanese translation, but the original English dub I think works because the way, like especially toward when Kaneda and Tetsuo are fighting, they're yelling Kaneda, Tetsuo, in the new dub, for some reason they say Kaneda like Canada. Maybe that's the correct way to say it, but it don't slap.
It's not even.
It don't
it's
slap
not
the same.
Spelled like that, dude. His name is Kuwata. That does not sound like Canada in any language.
So the original English dub is my preferred way to watch it. If you could find a version that has that, get it, because it's streaming. It was streaming on Hulu at one point, and I think I bought a version on Vudu, and I was disappointed because it didn't give me that original English dub option. So I pulled out my DVD that I had, the other day to watch it last night with the original English dub. I think the new Blu-rays do have that option on it.
And here's the thing. So the original film came out in Japan in 88. Then we get it made its way to the West in 89, 90.
90 was
90, and then it came out VHS. And then when it transferred to DVD, this is the one with the audio that you're talking about, which is awesome. Then they actually dropped a digitally remastered, audio enhanced version 2001. Dropped another $1 million to do this in 2001. That is the one that most of us are seeing, and that's the one I have in my collection, sad to say. But the thing of it is, they had dropped that mill to do that with confidence because in 88, they spent nearly $10 million to make this film and grossed worldwide $45 million. In the 80s, dog.
That was a good investment.
That's like,
was that theatrical release or
global
sales?
Global gross was 45.
Was that a theatrical gross or was that?
I think it was just all around sales at that point because it had a very limited release in the States. It was only like, I think they said they played it maybe for like a couple weeks in limited theaters. It was like spot checking.
Yeah, I would love to see this in the theater, you know, if I had a chance.
Dog.
But I need that OED, man. Need that original English.
You know what?
So the initial release, here it made, when it, 88, I guess they had a small theater run here, but, it did, let me see, 5, I guess that was the distributor Streamline as well. They put it out, 553,000 domestically in the States. The international and worldwide total was 2,534,000. But I think where this thing showed was the sales, the rentals.
Yes, absolutely.
Home video.
Because the thing is that it was such a limited release when it came out in the theaters, but the buzz was created and the following was started. So, you know, people were chomping at the bit. I got to see this because in the States, up until this, we had a couple anime experiences, and most of them were so chopped up and like just not done right. You know what I'm saying? Like they were over edited in a sense. Like I can't remember the name of the film that came out before this one, but they said that on the cover art, there was over 25 minutes that was edited out in the film, that on the cover art of the poster, the movie poster, there were characters that you weren't even exposed to, that weren't even in the film. It was like that just instantly reminded me of Cliffhanger in the previews. They keep showing Stallone jumping over the mountains and shit. That wasn't even in the fucking movie. Just like you hooked and baited me, dog. You know what I'm saying? I want to see my man jump across the mountains.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. So, anything you want to say before we wrap up?
Man? I mean, I feel strongly this is a groundbreaking film. Anyone who has a love for anime and the culture, the experience, the joy that these films bring, this is the one that set the tone. You know what I'm saying? If you love anything else, you need to know where it came from, what really broke the mold. You know what I'm saying? And Akira is that film. And if you don't have a like for anime or are not experienced with it, this is where you want to start.
Yeah, this is great, man. Great film, bro. We'll probably get a few more of these in, you know, as we continue to do this show, you know, because definitely I think it's an interesting segment just of filmmaking in general, man.
Absolutely. And then on a non-movie note, you know, I would just like to personally thank all of the viewers, all of the love and the support that we are continuously getting with this show. You know, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Without y'all, there's no us. You know what I'm saying? So, man, we appreciate it every day. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about the love and the support that we're getting doing this. So thank y'all again.
Thank y'all, man. And just subscribe, man. Tell your friends to subscribe. Take their phone and subscribe to us, man. Tell them to pull up YouTube and click and clack.
Yo, leave the comments, dog. We'll respond. Dude, we are real people. We are real people, and we do read the comments, and we will respond. We want the interaction. We want the feedback. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's movie recommendations, even if it's something that you think might be on the less positive side, there's something that maybe we can do different. Hey,
direct those at Bobby Blockbuster.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Hey, dude, hey man, closed mouths don't get fed. So you know what I'm saying? Just talk to us. We'll talk back straight up.
Yeah. So check us out at Classics of Cinematics on Instagram. Follow From the Canopy Network in general at FTCnet on Instagram, and Monk, you can catch me at Monkey Blood on Twitter and Instagram.
And I'm Bobby Blockbuster. You can catch me on Instagram at Bobby Blockbuster 118 or out there in these streets.
Peace.